Hey guys, this is James with The Gray Matters blog, coming to you on another one of my walks through the beautiful South Texas woods. Today I'm starting out down here by the river for you guys, doing another one of my new shorter videos. You're going to see how you guys like it. We're going to cut them in a little bit and make them a little bit more concise. So, we're down here by the muddy Mississippi impersonating Brazos River, and we're going to head up down the trail as I'm going to talk to you guys today about, forgive the shaky cam as I make my way up a muddy slope. We're going to talk about the differences in genres. This is another series I'm going to start doing, and basically how writing and writing style should change. You know, it will change and it should change between different genres. And the subject we're going to be talking about today is descriptions. What you describe and how you describe it in different genres. I want to remind everybody to give us a like and a subscribe. If you're not logged into your YouTube app, please go ahead and take a minute to do so. You can search for us at The Gray Matters blog. Make sure you put the "the" in there. It'll bring us right up, and liking and subscribing the video really helps us out. So, what's up with description? Surely there's only one correct way to write, right? Wrong. It all depends on what kind of writing you're doing. If I'm writing horror, I need to put tons of description into my environment and my atmosphere. I need to talk about the dust in the air, about the feeling of dread. I need to describe environments, and I need to describe emotions a lot. I need to always be, now again, show not tell, but I do need to be giving you a feeling of what my character is feeling. And I need to put tons of description to that. Nice, strong words. I need to be using words like oppressive. And, I need to be using really good analogies like a tomb. Of course, that's a bit of a cliche, but you get the idea. But that changes. If I want to write an urban fantasy, now again, urban fantasy can be horror, but most urban fantasy tends more towards adventure. Of course, there's subgenres and everything. If I'm writing more of an adventure, like an urban fantasy, like certain fantasies, now my description needs to shift a little bit. My description now needs to be about action. It needs to be describing what characters do, how that makes them feel. I need to be describing really cool action scenes, whether they're running, whether they're fighting, whether they're talking, but I need to treat it like, even a conversation needs to be treated somewhat like it's an action scene, because if these are action adventure stories that I'm telling, then that's more what we're going to be focusing on. Whereas then again, let's shift and say I'm writing a romance, or even just a romance heavy section of one of these other stories. Well, now I need to describe people. I'm describing what people look like, how people feel when they look at other people. This is actually where, now I have a rule that when I'm writing urban fantasy especially, because that's one of my specialties, and even fantasy to an element, if it's not, to an extent, if it's not a romance heavy fantasy, I generally try not to give a bunch of unnecessary details about my characters. If their size or their shape or their coloring is important, I'll absolutely include it. But if it isn't, I try to leave it out and leave it to the imagination. Now, you don't want to just make them a blank canvas, but you want to not give a bunch of unnecessary details just because it bogs the story down. In romance, throw that advice completely out. You need to give good, detailed, strong descriptions of everyone, because what people look like in a romance is super important. Also, what other people think of how they look is also super important. So, and you could have a story that has all three of those elements, that has a horror section, that has a romance section, and has an action-adventure section. But when you're writing those sections, then the level of description and where you put it needs to change. And if you get it wrong, it will feel wrong. If you're doing a horror and you're just describing what people look like, and what people look like is not adding to the horror, it's going to feel weird. If you're in a romance and you do not give the main character's description in detail, it's going to feel wrong. Every genre has its own rules. We're actually going to go into that some more on this thing. Let me know what genres you'd like to hear talk about, and what things you want to hear if are different between the different genres. So the key to keep in mind is genre is king, and it's going to change everything. So, guys, thanks for coming on this walk with me. I've really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to these new shorter videos with the series where we talk about some points a little more in depth. And as I said, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. And I look forward to seeing you guys on my next walk.